I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and I'm here with a pair of two brand new Taylor guitars from the 500 series. Taylor revamped the 500 series last year, changing the back and sides wood from the mahogany that the 500 series used for decades to urban ironbark, which is a very interesting material that's sourced locally in Southern California, and it's part of a program that Taylor is involved with using urban woods from urbanly sourced trees for several of their guitars. Last year, with the relaunch, Taylor introduced a 512 CE and a 514 CE, but it was limited to those two models, and now the company has released three new models within this new 500 ironbark series. I have two of them here. They're kind of 6 and 12 string twins. The one I'm holding is the 512 CE 12 fret. The 12 string counterpart to this is a 552 CE. Both are grand concert size guitars with 12 fret necks. The third guitar that's being introduced is a Grand Pacific size 517E, and I'm going to cycle back to that in a separate demo very soon here. So today, let's take a look at these two grand concert guitars. So as I mentioned before, the 500 series guitar has been in Taylor's catalog since the very early days of the company. It's typically been a mahogany guitar. So I think a lot of people were surprised, myself included, when Taylor revamped the line last year using urban ironbark wood. Taylor has, of course, introduced this use of urban woods, which are, of course, completely sustainably harvested right in Taylor's backyard in Southern California, with some of the urban ash guitars, and also using things like eucalyptus for some of the fingerboards on the American Dream series guitars. But still, switching the 500 series to urban ironbark caught some of us by surprise. But I think it has to be said that it's been a real success, and so I'm happy to see these new additions to the line to kind of grow the 500 series to where it once was, with models in almost all the body sizes. So Taylor compares urban ironbark tonally somewhat to Indian rosewood. It's a very dense wood. It's a very stable wood, great to work with. They do a slight stain on this wood, so it's really quite attractive as well. Kind of an edge burst stain on here. You'll see it on both of these guitars, which are identical in terms of the use of materials. So besides the urban ironbark back and sides on both of these guitars, we have torrefied Sitka spruce top, kind of a wide-grained Sitka spruce top on this 6-string version of the guitar, again with an edge burst finish on here. Looks really great, I think. And the traditional Taylor tortoiseshell pickguard. There's also a similar tortoise style binding on the guitar, which is traditional for the 500 series. We have wooden purfling, kind of two light colored sections here. We have a green abalone rosette on the guitars. Of course, an ebony fingerboard and bridge. And in the case of this 512 CE 12 fret, we have Taylor's slotted peghead, which is something they're using on pretty much all the 12 fret guitars, with open gear vintage style tuners on here as well. So I've always find these 12 fret grand concerts to be wonderful fingerstyle guitars. Moving the neck joint from the 14th fret to the 12th fret also shifts the bridge position a little closer into the lower bout, which a lot of people find is the most effective way to drive a top, is right here, sort of in the center of this imaginary circle of the lower bout. The guitars have Taylor short scale and typical nut width of 1 3/4 inches at the nut here, and just a very, very comfortable guitar to play, and just very responsive, and perhaps a little bit more low-end bass response than the 14 fret versions of these guitars. Just a lot of fun to play. I'm in drop D tuning now, and I just really find it very satisfying for fingerstyle to play. Let me put it up to standard tuning. Just great clarity, very quick response on this guitar. great note separation. Of course, it does have the V-class bracing. So some of these qualities that the V-class guitars are known for, such as the great clarity and this real balance, tonal balance, is inherent in this guitar. And with the 12 fret design, perhaps a little bit warmer, a little bit more toward the bass spectrum than on the 14 fret version of this instrument. So really great to see Taylor expanding the 500 series with this 12 fret version of the 512 CE. Let's also take a look at the 12 string version of this guitar. Okay, so the 552 CE not only expands the new urban ironbark line of 500 series Taylors, it also expands on this relatively new concept of the grand concert size 12 string with the 12 fret neck, which is a version of their 12 strings. The Taylor only came out relatively recently, and it's only been available with a couple of different models. Taylor 12 strings have always been famous for being some of the easiest playing 12 strings out there. These really kind of take that ease of playability up another notch. I took note of that with the previous versions of this style that I've demoed. But between the short scale and the compact body and the compactness of having the 12 fret neck where you don't have to reach out so much, this is really a 12 string that takes no more physical efforts to play than a typical 6 string guitar. As a matter of fact, it's easier to play than a lot of 6 string guitars. Everything that we talked about with the woods and the appointment is exactly the same as it was on the 512 CE 12 fret over here. On this particular guitar, the top grain is a little bit tighter than it is on the other guitar. I don't know whether they tend to pick those for the 12 strings or whether it's a matter of these two individual guitars. Wonderful looking tops on both of them. Along with this 12 fret 12 string design, Taylor introduced a new bridge style for the 12 strings a couple of years ago, which has the pairs of strings sharing a bridge pin. So there's only 6 bridge pins rather than the 12 that they used to be on the earlier style of 12 strings. And that of course saves a little bit of weight on the bridge, and aesthetically it's kind of nice, a little bit less cluttered on the bridge here. Uses mini versions of Taylor's enclosed chrome tuners, and again, same ebony fingerboard and bridge and same appointments as on the other guitars. So really fun to play guitar. If you're not used to playing 12 strings, you may be surprised by how easy this instrument is to play. You heard me play a little bit of fingerstyle on it. It certainly is great for that because it is responsive, and again, it just doesn't fight you when you're playing it. But it also sounds great played with a pick. So let me show you a little bit of that. So even playing bar chords up the neck is really not something that you need to shy away from with this type of instruments. There's a lot of 12 strings that are so hard to play that you really want to stay in the first position. But with a guitar like this, there's really no limits as to where you can play on the fingerboard with pretty much the same ease as you would on a 6-string guitar. Also has the V-class bracing on this guitar, and of course I should mention that both of these guitars include Taylor's ES2 electronics. They come standard with these instruments, and they of course include the tone controls here, and the pickups are installed behind the bridge on these guitars. Okay, so those are Taylor's two new 500 series urban ironbark grand concert guitars. I'm back to holding the 512 CE 12 fret here. The 12 string version is the 552 CE, both really interesting and cool guitars. I'll go out playing a little bit more on this. I'm now in DADGAD tuning on this 6 string version of the guitar. I definitely encourage you to check them out at your Taylor dealer. I'm going to cycle back and introduce the new Grand Pacific 517E very shortly. If you're seeing this on YouTube, consider popping over to pegheadnation.com, not just for our gear demos, but also for all of our roots music courses, not just for guitar, but lots of other stringed instruments as well. My name is Teja Gerken. We'll see you very soon.